I love that Morgan Freeman has zero patience for race baiting.
I'm talking about the slave mentality.
Okay,
I'm talking about the person who feels that his only way of survival is to go along.
He has long rejected the victimhood mindset pushed by the identity politics crowd and even called out Don Lemon over it in a wildly viral interview.
Not everybody can do that.
Well, everybody can.
And so today we're covering his amazing takes. Just watch this clip before I break down everything you need to know about it.
Do you think poverty is part of genetics? Answering your questions.
No, you can't say that. I don't think wealth, personally, I don't think wealth and genetics have anything to do with each other, actually. If you're born in the U.S., it really doesn't matter the condition of your birth. What matters is what you inherit from your nurturing, from your environment, whether or not you're going, I'm just from the standpoint of having been born with little. You can always get out of that.
And leave it to Don Lemon to somehow connect poverty to genetics. Seriously, you can't make this stuff up. You can see the complete contrast on their positions. Lemon tried to tie poverty to factors that are outside of one's control. Freeman, on the other hand, focused on the importance of personal responsibility, mindset, and how much your attitude toward life can shape your outcomes. You might say this is dismissive of challenges people face, and that's valid, but let's not act like hardship is rare. Almost everyone faces obstacles in life. It's part of the human experience. The difference is how you respond to it. Simply put, if you walk through life convinced the system is rigged against you, you've lost. But if you take ownership, push forward, and stay focused, you've a real shot to achieve your goals. And no, I'm not being a motivational speaker here, just these are cold hard facts. Of course, Don didn't like the answer and followed up with a gotcha question, but ended up repeating exactly what Morgan said.
So environment effects.
Yeah. Say you're born as one of the untouchables in India, there you are. And if you're born into the super rich, there you are. Here, you can be born to the super rich, but 3-4 generations down the line, it's gone.
This is why they say listening is a skill not everyone has. And to Morgan's point, he's absolutely right. The issue with the identity politics crowd is that they convince themselves they are the victims of everything, but they completely miss that they're living in the land of opportunity. As much as they like to whine about inequality or unfairness, there's no question that the United States arguably provides the most chances for upward social mobility on the planet. People from all over the world risk everything to get here for a reason. Here's an interesting statistic you don't hear mentioned much. According to the American Enterprise Institute, 70% of Americans will spend at least a year in the top 20% of income distribution. More than half will spend at least a year in the top 10% of income distribution. Keep those numbers in mind because Don's next question is built around them, and once you hear it, the whole thing will sound downright laughable.
Do you think that race plays a part in wealth distribution, or either a mindset that you can't
Today?
or cannot? Yeah.
No.
You don't?
No, I don't. You and I, we're proof. Why would race have anything to do with it? Put your mind to what you want to do and go for that. It's kind of like religion to me. It's a good excuse for not getting there.
Yeah. You know, I said, and it's probably get me in trouble, but I said to some of my colleagues recently, so I know that it's an issue, but it seems like every single day on television I'm talking about race, and it's because of the news cycle, it's in the news, but sometimes I get so tired of talking about it, I want to just go, this is over, can we move on?
And if you talk about it, it exists.
Right.
Yeah. It's not like it exists and we refuse to talk about it, but making it a bigger issue than it needs to be is the problem we have.
You know for a fact Don was putting on an act here because if he ever stopped talking about race, he'd be out of business. A big part of his brand depends on constantly framing every issue through the lens of race, whether it makes sense or not. You don't have to look that far back to confirm this either. For instance, a few days ago, he was melting down because 59 South Africans got refugee status in the country just because they were white. By the way, I've noticed you haven't liked the video or subscribed to the channel yet, so what are you waiting for? In a much earlier interview, Freeman went even deeper into the topic of racism, and his take is pure perfection.
Being a Southerner and the offspring on one side of my family of slaves, I decided that you can't be a slave unless you are party to it. You got to agree to that. Yep.
Are you talking about the slave mentality? Or?
I'm talking about the slave mentality.
Okay,
I'm talking about the person who feels that his only way of survival is to go along. Mm-hmm. The motto in Massachusetts, you know what it is?
Live free or die?
Live free or die. So if I choose to live and don't choose to live free,
You did.
but I'm a party to it. So that's a reconciliation for me, all right? Hey, nobody can belittle you without your consent.
Now, just to clarify, live free or die is actually the official motto of New Hampshire, not Massachusetts, but that takes nothing from the message here. The larger point still stands, and it's one that needs to be said more often. No one is saying racism doesn't exist or that we shouldn't acknowledge our history. Of course we should, but it shouldn't be at the center of every conversation in modern America. Real progress has been made, and it's visible everywhere. The problem is, there's a group of professional race baiters who built an entire career on keeping the narrative about race alive since they know they can stir emotion and thus cash in big checks while people stay divided. Now, to wrap things up, we have Morgan talking about his infamous 60 Minutes interview and explaining why he doesn't like to be labeled as a black actor.
And then you also did an interview with Mike Wallace,
Yeah.
in which he said to you, why don't you like Black History Month?
Right.
And your answer was?
Well, I asked him, was there a white history month?
Yeah.
And he says, I'm Jewish. I said, okay. Is there a Jewish history month? He said, no. I said, do you want one? He said, no. So, well, there's my answer. You know, why would Black history be relegated to a month? Why isn't Black history just American history? So, no, I'm not for it at all.
Well, how do you feel about it right now today?
I don't feel any different than I always felt. I don't want to be, I just don't like to be singled out like that, you know. He's one of America's finest black actors. That narrows you, you know. Just puts you in a box over here. You can't be part of the whole pantheon.
Honestly, I think Morgan Freeman is a national treasure. He is God himself in movie. While I may not agree with him on politics all the time, I have a respect for his perspective when it comes to issues of race. What makes the take even more powerful is the fact that he actually lived through the Jim Crow era, and he's not just speaking from theory or secondhand knowledge. So when someone with that kind of background says we need to stop constantly focusing on race, I'd say it's worth listening, but I'd love to know your thoughts here, so let's get the conversation rolling in the comments down below. And if you want your friends to get their coverage from an independent source like us, please share the video. It means the world. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.